Before anything else, you have to teach yourself that it's okay. What do I mean by this? Well, let's share a quick example and then I'll expand a bit. I often joke around that part of growing up is realizing you never really feel 100%. Especially as I've been, trying to stay fit and hit the gym and run and all that stuff. It's like the mind truly shifts from how do I feel perfect all the time to, look, there's most likely going to be some ache or pain. The question is just how do you best manage it? Stay on top of it. How do we maintain, quote unquote, good enough to keep showing up and pushing the envelope every day? And man, I'm learning that can be a full-time job, right? It's like yoga, stretching, supplements, chiropractor, body work. Sometimes it all just feels wild to me, but it's a cost, metaphorically, I'm willing to pay. And recently had some knee discomfort pop up, and I know now these things can be targeted and over time resolved. I called my friend who's a mobility specialist, and he's looking at my lower body. He's like, dude, your ankles are like bricks. They don't move. You don't have the mobility needed to do what you're doing, which, he continues on, makes your calves tight. Feel this. And then he pokes the center of my calf, and I let out this unexpected yelp, and he continues. He goes, which means the inside of your thigh and the outside of your leg are working really hard to compensate, and your knee's just a messenger here. It's screaming, something's wrong, pal. And so here's the cool thing, right? Eventually, he goes, Eddie, get into the squat position. And no weight or anything, just think of an air squat. He says, sink down to the bottom and hold it there, the bottom of your squat. And my body, it really didn't have the ability to do that, right? So he sees it, he acknowledges, he says, stand up. He hands me a rope. I have one end, he has one end. And he says, do it again. And you know that you're not gonna fall backwards, right? You're completely supported. The tension on this rope is gonna hold you up. And yeah, I know that, right? Makes perfect sense to say, okay, and I squat again. And when I'm at the bottom, the discomfort was crazy. It was like a full-on panic as I'm trying to hold it there. My heart rate was really jacked up and everything's screaming, and I feel like I'm on mile 2 of a full-on sprint. But I'm not even doing anything. I'm just trying to stay stationary sitting there at the bottom of a squat, and it's just, it really was just unexpected. It was crazy. And he's like, he can see what's going on. He says, okay, stand up. And basically explains to me, so your body is so convinced that the depth at the bottom of that squat is dangerous that it's doing everything it can to avoid it. Every time you get close to the bottom of that squat, it's sounding an alarm. It's thinking, oh no, injury, injury, injury. We don't go low. We don't do that. Depth equals bad, negative, right? Pulling every alarm it can. And so he goes, Eddie, what you need to do is literally teach it that it's okay. You need, through repetition, to show all those nerves and all that stuff down there. Clearly, I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember what he said, but we'll go with stuff down there. You need to teach it that you can get low and that depth doesn't equate to horrible consequences. Because right now, your body's desperately trying to protect you from what it thinks is the problem. In the way that, that was framed made perfect sense to me. I'm like, okay, the reps makes sense, right? A little at a time makes sense. It's like showing a child that the water in the pool is okay, little at a time. You walk up, you put your toe in. You walk up, you put your foot in. Or, whatever metaphor you want to use. So where am I taking all this? Well, as I sit there and I think about it, isn't that what speaking in front of an audience was for me? It's like getting a little less nervous and a little more comfortable every time I did it. Teaching myself that I don't need to stay up all night the night before or, sweat backstage. I taught myself that stage by stage, conference by conference, event by event, that if I showed up, this was home. That I didn't need to protect myself from this. In fact, I needed more of it. All right, or another example, starting always grateful, never satisfied. The mind thinks it's protecting you by saying, hey, dude, this could fail. Did you consider that? Hey, you tried a few years ago and you decided it wasn't for you. You walked away. You remember how that felt? You don't want that feeling, do you? It's like you hear this, but my mind doesn't hate me. It's not saying these things to tear me down. It's saying them just like that squat hold because it's trying to protect me. It doesn't want me to get hurt. But the problem is that's simply first order thinking, right? My mind doesn't realize that the discomfort is how we get what we want. It just says, pain, I'm gonna do you a favor and steer you away. And so, as we all go through life, there are these commonalities that bind us, absolutely. But there are also individual goals and interests and pursuits that make us different and unique, and I want you to know that whatever's in front of you, if it means something, if it matters, it will feel like the bottom of that squat. It will create panic, and your mind and body will signal, hey, stop, this is dangerous. Again, not because your mind wants you to fail, and certainly not because the pursuit in and of itself is a bad one. It's because you need to teach yourself through reps that what feels scary is actually okay. It's good, right? As the famous saying goes, what feels like the obstacle is actually the way, but you need to show yourself, earn that confidence. So allow yourself to get a little bolder with that depth every day. And some days will hurt more than others. Some days maybe you don't make progress like you thought or wanted, but you keep showing up and you keep pushing, and eventually you'll convince not your neighbors or your family or friends, not your critics. They don't matter here. You'll convince yourself that this pursuit is where you need to be, that beyond the pain lives your destiny. And see, most people stop when the alarm goes off and the mind signals concern. But the truth is, the greats see that as a challenge, a trade-off, as a way, the way to depths otherwise unobtainable. What's up, guys? Eddie here. And before we jump into the next chapter, just a quick note. So, as many of you know, every single video that I've ever put on this channel has been created with the intent of building momentum in your life. If you want something physical to anchor that momentum, we've created the brand AGNS, or Always Grateful, Never Satisfied, for that exact reason. Athletic apparel that embodies the very ideas and concepts I talk about every day. Because you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, we've created a code for this exclusive community, YWW20. You can use that on the website, agns.lifestyle, or right under this video on YouTube. All the stuff is there in the shop. Again, code YWW20 gets you 20% off the entire store. It's a great way to support the channel and also elevate your journey. Let it be a reminder to keep showing up. Appreciate your time. Always grateful, never satisfied. On to the next. It's what you do in the dark that determines what you become in the light. Remember, it's easy to shine when the cameras are on, when the crowd is cheering, when you have momentum, when the music is loud and the world applauds your every move. But the truth is, your life is not built in those moments. No, your destiny is forged when no one's watching. When it's just you, your doubts, your fatigue, and the quiet decision keep going. It's what you do in the dark. And I was reminded of this recently. It was an ordinary Wednesday, doing my ordinary routine. I was at the gym with my trainer, about halfway through the workout. There's obviously no need to get too detailed here, but some important context is just that it was an interval workout. And the goal was to really jack the heart rate up, right? So I'm in the middle of it, switching from upright rows to step-ups on a box repeatedly. No rest, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you get to the point where your body becomes so fatigued, obviously, that it starts to break down. You want to collapse. Your mind starts getting weak. You start looking for shortcuts. And I've been in that moment before, plenty of times, right? That's actually become my new norm with this routine. And I knew that if I could control this, if I could steady myself right there in the storm, in the middle where things are the hardest, where perhaps I'm starting to feel a little sorry for myself. If I could just keep my head up, take it moment by moment, push through, then the rest would take care of itself. I think this is an important note because it's usually not the beginning that breaks us. That's the exciting stuff, right? Before the trials and the tribulations, it's never the warm-up. It's never the first few steps or minutes. It's the valley of despair. It's the middle. That's where the energy fades. The fatigue, your body whispers, that's enough. It's where doubt asks, what if you can't? And maybe even, why are you here? But to know that spot is where champions are made. It's where lives are changed. Well, that's the differentiator. It's what you do in the dark. Admiral McRaven once said, "At your darkest moments, you must be your very best." And isn't that life? When the weight feels too heavy, when the path disappears into shadow, when you want to throw in the towel, that's not the time to shrink. That's the time to look into yourself and rise. Because life is not decided by how you act when things are easy. It's just not. It's decided by how you respond when it's bordering unbearable. It's what you do in the dark. And see, here's the secret most people miss. You do not conquer mountains in one leap. You do not finish marathons by thinking about mile 26. You do not survive heartbreak by solving the next 10 years overnight. You win one rep at a time, 1 minute at a time, one breath at a time. You stay locked in to the current moment because you have power over the current moment. That's how you tame chaos. That's how you survive storms. It's how you take your power back, piece by piece. It's what you do in the dark. And I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it in entrepreneurs staring down debt. I've seen it in runners on blistered feet at mile 20. I've seen it in parents holding their family together with pure grit. Their victory wasn't that they never fell. It wasn't that they never doubted. It was simply that they refused to quit while in these shadows, while navigating the darkest corners of life. Because you bet that storm will come. The question will not be whether it arrives. The question is, when it does, will it break you? Or will it reveal you? It's what you do in the dark. So remember this. You don't have to conquer the whole mountain today. And when you're staring up at the momentous obstacle before you, that should provide relief. You don't have to carry the entire burden at once. You just have to own this moment, this rep, this breath. Because if you can be your best when you feel your worst, if you can steady yourself when everything shakes, you'll discover a truth that changes everything. The storm wasn't there to end you, it was there to reveal you. And what it reveals will always come down to this. It's what you do in the dark. There's a truth we often forget when we're in the trenches. A truth that feels unglamorous, uncomfortable, sometimes hard on the ego. But nevertheless, it's this. If you are not willing to play the fool, you cannot be the master. It's not optional. It's simply the cost. And sure, when we see it on paper, it makes sense. It sounds almost poetic, like one of those motivational posters you walk by, you glance at, nod, and keep moving. But when you're in it, it's a different story entirely. When you're standing at the intersection of your heart pulling you one way and your head screaming every reason you're not enough, it's no longer poetic. It becomes brutal. Imposter syndrome doesn't knock once and leave. It rings in your head on repeat. The fear of criticism never seems to vanish. The anxiety, the embarrassment, sometimes even anger at being a beginner when it feels like everyone else is an expert. Well, it stacks on top of you until the weight feels unbearable. And in that moment, your mind does a lot of things, but it certainly does not whisper, hey, this is good. This is growth. This is the cost of admission to mastery. No, our lizard brains scream. Run. Run as fast as you can. Get out. Find something easier, something more comfortable, something that feels more you. That's what we're designed to do, solve problems. And again, when our brains see discomfort, when they sense pain, they rush to eliminate the pain. It makes perfect practical sense. Make it stop, the brain says. But what it doesn't understand is that the discomfort is not the problem. Surprise, it's the solution. I'm going to take you way back to one of my favorite examples of this, Michelangelo. Right, when we think of Michelangelo, we certainly think of a genius. You know, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, creation of Adam, the marble David. His name is synonymous with mastery. But here's what most people don't know. When Pope Julius II commanded him to paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling, Michelangelo resisted. Didn't feel qualified. In fact, he flat out said he was a sculptor, not a painter. Painting that vast ceiling seemed like an impossible task, way outside of his skill set, and perhaps destined to expose his shortcomings to the world. And so he stalled, and he argued, and he begged to be let out, because like all of us, Michelangelo feared looking like a fool. But history didn't let him hide. Right? The commission went forward, and Michelangelo found himself day after day lying on scaffolding, paint dripping into his eyes, wrestling with a medium he didn't even consider his own. He doubted his abilities, he struggled, he felt like an imposter in his own craft. And yet, 4 years later, he stepped back, and the ceiling he created wasn't just good, it became one of the most celebrated achievements in the history of art. The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel wasn't painted by someone confident and certain of his place in history. Much more human experience, right? It was painted by someone who thought they weren't qualified, who felt out of place, who feared being exposed. I don't know if you've been there, but I have. That is the point. Mastery is born in the moments we feel least like masters. And, take that metaphor to the present day. Think about some of the creators you admire most, the ones with millions of followers, the ones who seem to command the camera with ease. If you scroll all the way back to their first videos, right, if they've had the courage to leave them up, you'll find something very different. You'll see someone fumbling through words, rambling without direction. You'll see a lack of confidence, shaky delivery, uncertain eyes staring back into the lens. Or more realistically, probably somewhere around the lens, right? You get the idea. They weren't experts. They weren't even good. But again, that's the point. How could they be? You don't walk into a gym the first time, load the bar up and bench 225. No, you start with weight so light it feels insignificant. While some guy, by the way, across the room is probably curling the same amount you're trying to bench. And that sting, that frustration, that's the toll booth on the road to greatness. The awkwardness, the doubt, insecurity, it's all real, it's all normal, it's all merely the price of admission. But here's the tragedy. Because there is a tragedy, and it is a tragedy of great magnitude. Most people never pay that toll. And it's not because they can't. That's the thing. It's because they won't. They talk themselves out of it before the momentum has a chance to shift. Before that tiny snowball rolling downhill turns into an avalanche. They trade long-term mastery for short-term comfort. Never realizing they were one rep, one video, one attempt away from the tide turning. And so they go back to what's easy. To what doesn't scare them. They go back to being comfortable, and in doing so, they go back to being stuck. So let me remind you, when you feel foolish, when the weight feels heavy, when your words, stumble out awkwardly and uncertain, this is not failure. This is certainly not proof you don't belong. This is the evidence that you are exactly where you need to be. Because mastery is not about talent handed down from the heavens. It's about walking through the valley of foolishness with enough faith to keep moving. Every single expert you look up to, every voice that's inspired you, every innovator that's changed the game, at some point they were the fool in the room. They stood at the bench lifting less than the guy next to them. They stood behind the camera saying too much or not enough. They stood in front of audiences that did not clap, and they kept going. That's the difference. Not that they were born better or that they had a magical gift you do not. It's that they refused to let being the fool stop them from becoming the master. So next time the little voice says run, get out, you're not good enough, you're embarrassing yourself, stop, take a breath, and remember this is the cost. This is the toll to enter the path you say you want. And if you're willing to pay it, if you can endure the season of looking foolish, the day will come when you'll look back and realize that season was the very thing that made you. Because only those who have the courage to be the fool earn the right to be the master. Earlier today, we came across a video, and I'm going to paraphrase a lot of it, so it's not an exact quote, but hopefully you'll get the gist from this story. It's essentially Shaquille O'Neal talking to his son. And, it's not a story about, dunking and championships or highlight reels. He was talking to his son about sacrifice. And his son basically says, Dad, I want to play in the NBA like you. And Shaq's looking at him and saying, then you need to understand what that means. Right? Very stern, very almost concerned demeanor, which pulls you right into the video. It's pretty powerful. He's kind of going through their past. And he says, do you understand what that means? if you want this dream, I need you to understand what it means. And he goes on, and again, I really want to emphasize that I'm paraphrasing the idea, right? But he's essentially saying, if you want this dream, you'll miss birthdays, you'll miss family dinners, you'll miss time with friends, you won't have that balanced, carefree life that most people enjoy. It goes back even deeper. How many birthdays did I miss? Right? His son thinks for a second, a lot, right? How many plays did I miss? How many games? Right, you can see the sort of dots connecting in his son's head, That's the cost of being great at something. That's the price I had to pay. Because the reality is, I believe what Shaq is getting at is every dream has a toll booth. Every aspiration has a cost. And the question isn't whether you'll pay. It's whether the life on the other side is worth the price. And it's a question you have to ask yourself. And when you decide that it is, you go all in with every single thing you have. But first, you make sure that it is indeed something that matters to you. And there was a comment under the video that I found almost as intriguing as the video. It really makes you think, right? The comment was, you can have it all, just not all at once. Because today, and Shaq mentions this in the back and forth, he says, today, because of that work I put in, now I can help you. Now I have money to help my family be great. I have these things. But the cost, when you were younger, was missing a lot. Right? There were certain chapters, certain seasons. Now he has the resources, and now he has the time. But at the beginning, when he was climbing, he didn't. He had to choose. He had to trade comfort for greatness. Moments now for a legacy later. And that's not just his story. That's all of our stories. Life is trade-offs, and I can't emphasize this enough. It's like, you want to build a business? Okay, you're gonna have to sacrifice nights out. You want to run a marathon? Okay, you're gonna have to sacrifice sleeping in, right? To get those miles in before work. You want to write that book, create the art, step into the new identity. You're gonna have to sacrifice approval, sacrifice certainty. You're gonna have to sacrifice ease. Because dreams demand payment in advance. And it's not easy. Sometimes it even feels unfair. Sometimes it's like the universe is asking too much. But ask yourself, isn't that the point? Isn't greatness supposed to require something of us? Wouldn't it mean less if it didn't? You can have it all, just not at once. That line isn't about limitation. I think it's about sequence. It's about patience. About trusting that if you build the foundation today, the house will stand upon it tomorrow. Shaq missed birthdays so that essentially he could provide for birthdays. He missed plays so that he could set the stage for his family's future. He missed games so his kids would never have to miss opportunities. Trade-offs, sacrifices, choices. That's the name of the game. And if you're in a season right now where it feels like you're missing out, remember, you're not losing, you are investing. You're exchanging now for later. You're planting seeds that will grow into trees, forests. So when you're tired, and if you're not right this moment, there will be a time when you are. When you're tempted to quit, if you think that thought will never, even for a moment, enter your head and bounce around, my friend, you are wrong. When you see everyone else laughing and playing and seemingly living these perfect lives while you're working, I need you to remember the truth that was echoed from a father to his son and now to you. That line that by chance I stumbled upon. You can have it all, just not all at once. So in this season of life, choose your all. Choose your sacrifice. Choose the thing you're willing to miss so that one day you can stand where few ever stood. And when someone asks, was it worth it? You'll be able to look back at the life you built, the people you've helped, the legacy you left, and answer without hesitation, yes, it was worth every trade-off, every difficult decision, all the sacrifice, the temporary pain, the suffering. It all helped you design the life you wanted to live with intentionality, with purpose, with passion. It all brought you here. And what a beautiful thing. You can have it all, just not all at once.